Welcome everyone to the Gold Silver Bitcoin Show. We're sitting down with the small business owner of Origin Chiropractic, Chris Pruter. Thanks, Chris, for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Glad we could link up.
So full disclosure, Chris and I went to high school together. We've known each other for quite a while. I imagine we didn't go to junior high. I went to Dieguito.
Yeah, I think it was just high school, just San Dieguito.
San Dieguito High School Academy, which I think is an interesting topic maybe to start off on. So, Chris, I did a report for the San Diego Reader on what like the San Dieguito Academy High School was all about, and it was like a school of choice that was founded in like 1996, I think. And the main line of reasoning by the founders was to encourage the students to become individuals. So that's why we didn't like have to like have the best attendance records, for instance, while we were at SDA, and had no issues from administration for that reason. And so as a school of choice, I think that basically means that like you have to apply to go there. And in our situation, it was a lottery. So there was a lottery and you got in based on the lottery. And it was a alternative to the other school in San Diego County, in La Costa and Encinitas, which was La Costa Canyon, which had like one entrance and exit, and I think a much more stern attendance policy as well. And like SDA was pretty special. I think we were lucky to go there because it's like emphasis on the individual. And I don't know what's going on there today. Back then it had like 8 different exits. And when you were leaving class, like the administration would tell you to have like a good time during your extracurricular third period on the 101.
Mm-hmm.
What do you recall about SDA? Were you aware of like its vibe? Like that I just explained. I'm sure you were there, but did you know that it was a school of choice that was like meant to, the founders, I forget the woman's name. I forget her name, but I think Teicher was there early on too, kind of like, and then so was Emily Radikowski's father, John Radikowski. He was also an early kind of founder of this SDA, or at least its principles.
Yeah, well, I remember Mr. Wright too. He was an art teacher, a different art teacher I had, and he was a really cool guy. I think he's still there, but he was I went to him for a project because I had taken his class for the second time because he was really chill. His class was draw and design, and the second time I took it, he's like, if you've taken this class before, just come meet and talk with me. So I went and talked with him, and he basically told me just to spend the entire quarter doing whatever I wanted. He's like, so he gave me total freedom, and I was like, okay, I like to draw waves, so like teach me how to draw waves. And he gave me some other artists for inspiration how to draw waves, and that was the first taste of like, oh my gosh, this is, what other high school do you go to? And you ask the teacher, and he tells you what it is you want to do, and you can pursue it. So I got a taste. I came from a private school in middle school. It was I think it was pretty strong academically, but it was also pretty rigid. So then I showed up to SDA, and it was like completely other end of the spectrum, very very open, and just different types of people with different interests. And so yeah, it was nice, man. I feel like I didn't realize how good we had it until we left, like most things, right?
I don't want to go too far into like my experience before SDA. It was public school system, and I think I could go on about that for quite a while in retrospect. But I remember in junior high, I was constantly being like punished with detention. For instance, 2 stories. Like the first week in 7th grade, I was like, somebody took my hat off, and I tried to grab it back, and I got a detention for that. I remember that very vividly. And then also one time, I also got a detention because Blair, a friend of ours, and I fought, which is like absurd because not only had we known each other by that time for like 5 years since 3rd grade, and we were like really close friends, but this notion that we were like fighting, it wasn't even like roughhousing. They didn't even use the term roughhousing. It was that we were in like a fight, which is totally absurd. All of our parents know each other. We know each other. We're like family friends at that point. And that was yet another detention. And it makes absolutely no sense. Even if they had said that we were like roughhousing at that point, that would have just also been false. It would have just been totally silly.
Yeah.
And so then you go to SDA and it's the exact opposite. You have total freedom. Like, okay, so Mr. Wright is teaching creativity. what is more creative than thinking about what to create? Like that's like the crux of the creative process, as opposed to just being told what to create. Which, speaking of which, creating at SDA, like I remember when I first got there, I guess I kind of maybe didn't have the best strategy there, because they let you take all these electives over the course of your 4 years, and you just so happened to be able to like pile on all of your elective courses in like your first year and a half or something of that school, which then makes the second year and a half of high school like all the real classes. Well, I went with the that strategy, and like my first year of SDA was like all music classes the whole time. So MIDI classes, guitar classes, like I think a songwriting class. They had a recording studio, kind of like a we'll call it a makeshift recording studio at SDA. Some homie probably was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a recording studio at SDA." That's like probably in retrospect, that's probably how that went down. It's somebody who had been there before and like felt a kinship, as I did when I wrote the story. Wanted to do that.
What a nice thing to leave behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the spirit of SDA. There's murals all around the this school of choice. And I think that kind of set you and I up for the journeys we've been on. So for instance, I guess we're both small business owners, right? You've recently become a small business owner. You own a kind of chiropractic, you own a chiropractic office
Mhm.
in California.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you
Oceanside, California.
would you agree that SDA kind of set you up for that, the school of choice, the freedom school?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was part of one thing that led to another. Yeah,
Why?
it's. I always knew I wanted to be. I think on that kind of like make your own way and maybe eventually end up owning your own business without really knowing it. But I think it was a pivotal step in kind of carving that path. And I think also when you're on a journey of whatever self-discovery, or you're trying to find out what in this life's gonna make you feel fulfilled, or feel like you're unique to yourself and congruent with yourself, like things are just going to come up in your environment to fulfill that. And I think yeah, there's a reason I didn't go to like Army Navy, and it wasn't necessarily a willful decision by me, but it was more like, oh, I just, there's something in my field of that gives rise to opportunities in your environment, then you kind of choose to go one way or the other. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think it was pivotal. I think it was helpful for sure.